A warning before you listen.
What you are about to hear is not meant for children, nor for the faint of heart. This is an unfiltered retelling of ancient myths, told as they were born, raw, violent, unsoftened. Expect scenes of brutality, curses that linger, betrayals that reshape fate, and a hunger for power that shows no mercy. These myths were never meant to lull children to sleep. They were forged in blood, shadow, and fire. So ask yourself, are you ready to hear them as they were first told? Sources and references can be found in the episode description.
Chapter 2. From the epic, Zeus, the Lastborn, and the Revolt of Fate. The Cave of Prophecy, the earth that raised a god. In a place unmapped by gods, unwritten in the songs of creation, Crete split open like a wound and swallowed a child. Not to shield him, but to raise him as punishment. The cave was not a door. It was a fracture in the memory of the universe. A hollow untouched by prayers, where no torch dared burn. When the wind entered, it came back blood-stained. When a foot stepped in, the earth gasped, like a throat slid open. Gaia had carved this place with her nails, not as a refuge, but as a snare for destiny. She etched it into the belly of the earth, as one carves a cursed name into flesh meant to carry shame. Rhea did not abandon her son. She surrendered him, the way a forbidden lover hands over her child to gods of the underworld. She placed his tender body on stone colder than her chest, and whispered not with love, but with trembling resolve, if he returns, let it be with thunder in his hand, not tears in his eyes. Then came the priestesses, women of shadow. Not mothers, but vessels that nursed myths instead of children. They did not touch the infant. They circled him, like offerings circling a temple of vengeance. One whispered his name into the stones. Another brushed his brow with droplets of cursed wind. The third slid a tiny spear beneath his head and murmured, "Sleep, but never sleep." Then she came, Amalthea, not a goat, but a curse with a udder. Her steps made no sound, yet the mountain trembled with each one. Her horns cooled by the breath of rage, her eyes glowing with the fire of gods long dead. She approached Zeus without fear, without hesitation. She offered her breast, not like a mother, but like a machine spilling prophecy into a mouth made of lightning. Her milk wasn't drunk. It was sculpted, warm like yearning, bitter like loss, burning like fire that refused to die. Each drop built a nerve. Each sip sharpened a blade in his chest. The child wasn't feeding. He was swallowing something indigestible, ancient wrath, a longing untouched by love, and a legacy Gaia wrote the day she realized. Mothers no longer protect. They prepare for slaughter. Then he screamed, not like a child, but like a thunderbolt ripped from the belly of silence. His cry split the stone. It woke the cave like fear wakes the heart of a killer just before execution. And then they descended. The Curetes, not men, shadows on 2 feet wrapped in armor, drums in hand, steel running beneath their skin. They didn't speak, they didn't smile, they didn't sleep. They came down like gods arrive when the cosmos has been wounded. Their clashing blades masked his cries. They danced like skulls over fire in the middle of a battlefield. Every wail from the child was met with a roar of bronze, every shiver answered by strikes that etched the rhythm of war into his bones. They weren't hiding him, they were drowning him in a melody only gods could hear, those gods who now sensed their end crawling from a crack in the mountain. And nature watched. The wind whispered in his ear the names of gods he would one day kill. Trees stretched their roots as if forging a shield beneath the earth for him. And the birds? They sang, not to lull him, but so he might memorize the hymns he would later crucify his enemies to. Zeus grew, not from exercise, but from fear. He smiled, not out of joy, but because he had learned this world doesn't breed tenderness. It addicts itself to steel. Every tear added another layer of lightning to his skin. Every night, his silence deepened. One night, when even the stones slept, when the last drop of milk dried, and the drums of the Curetes fell still, he rose. His body still thin, but burning with a light no eye could see. His eyes shone with a hunger that had no name. His lips sealed, yet the silence around him throbbed with the promise of something that would not resemble peace. Zeus stood for the first time, naked, save for the spark in his gaze and the blade growing inside his silence. He was no longer a child. He was a god taking his first steps. And the earth? She quieted herself just to listen. Here, in a cave forgotten by the sky, buried beneath mountains, stitched together by a mother's desperation into a trap for war. Here, Zeus was raised, and here the prophecy began to grow. Not like a rose, not like a tale, but like a bomb soaked in blood. In this cave, where fate was buried like sin, lightning began to bloom. This chapter of the epic has come to an end, but remember, what you've just heard is not a record of facts, but the echo of a myth, a story born from the imagination of the ancients, etched into the long memory of humankind. If this tale stirred something in you, if it opened a door to reflection or wonder, don't forget to support the channel and share the journey with those you love. And in the comments, tell us, which moment in this chapter struck you the most and why? We'll meet again in the next chapter of this audio odyssey through time. Until then, farewell.